the 2020 WNC and USDGC Saturday night recap show, coming to you live from Fort Mill, South Carolina, from the Disc Golf Guy. Hey everyone, it's Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, trying to give you the recap show and hoping that things are going to move a little bit smoother than they did just a few moments ago, because somehow it seems like things locked up on the previous attempt. So first and foremost, I'd like to clarify that everything looks and sounds all right for you before I move on. You guys were talking about losing audio on the previous version, and so I want to make sure that everything is, that things check out and things are good to go. So I'm going to go out there and double check as I'm taking a quick look on YouTube. And I apologize if you guys are rejoining because there was something wrong with the stream from a few moments ago. And hopefully everything is now good to go. So please, as you can hear myself, let's make sure we mute that. And looks like we are good. We are back and ready to go. All right, you guys are saying that the audio and the video looks good. So I'm going to make a quick update out here to the Facebook post and make sure that we are all set. So, gosh, where do I start? Let's just start with the basics. Incredible day, phenomenal storylines on both the WNC and on the USDGC. If you're one of those people that care about spoilers and not knowing what happened, just turn it off right now. If you're concerned about, hey, is this guy just going to ramble on for 2 hours and he may or may not give me super great insights? If you're already worried about that, I also might not be the solution for you. Although I'd like to think I give you a little bit of insider info from time to time, but maybe I don't. I don't know. My last favorite section of haters said 2.5 hours to say nothing. I guess that's one way to look at it. I do want to say thank you. Huge shout out. One of my super chatters requested green lighting tonight. So as I say, if you're a super chat subscriber and supporter, you get to choose the color scheme. And the last super chat supporter with the greatest amount said they wanted green for tonight. So here we are with green. All right. So if you guys can just yet again confirm we're all good to go with all audio, all video, I'm going to be good to go as well. Please like, if you could, maybe even share this so if other people want to take it in. Here's my first promise of the night. I don't know if I'll have multiple, but here's my first one. It's not going to go as long as the previous few nights. 1.5 hours on the first night, roughly. 2 hours and 58 minutes. Things got a little sloppy on the second night. 2 hours, 48 minutes on the third night. Tonight, it's going to be much, much shorter. All right? I want to get in, get out, start packing. I've got an early flight tomorrow morning out of Charlotte after I drive up there and get ready to go. I'm going to go home for a few days and then turn around and come back for the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships, which take place of course, in just a few days. So huge shout out. Jamie Thomas of our media crew said he wanted to contribute to all of us celebrating the completion of the week. And he took a few of my cues and or some of my storylines from the week. And he remembered that I'm a fan of Founders, Backwoods Bastard. I was out of them. I had my fair share over the last few nights, but tonight I had to oblige. He went out and went way out of his way to get some. And so, Jamie, it was a hell of a week. I appreciate spending the time in the booth with you. Just like I said then, I'll say it again now. The way he has with words, I don't spit that out eloquently. The way he is with words, the way he thinks on the spot, the way that he can transition and segue with just a moment's notice to go from one topic to another, because frequently in our ear, we're told, hey, here's a subject, or here's a topic, or we're cutting to this highlight, or we're moving on to this thing. And Jamie just does it so effortlessly. And I can't say enough about the effort that Jamie Thomas puts out. And it was truly an honor to be next to him and working with him throughout the week. I think he does a phenomenal job, and he killed it. That's what I can say about that. Okay. Quickly, let's head back over where I kind of got cut off last time. I'm sorry. I don't know why, but I got cut off talking about the FPO side, or should I say the tournament that had our FPO division, the Women's National Championships. So hopefully I can share this again with you as I pull up our stats over at UDisc Live. I believe if I click on this, please let me know if something goes sideways. But if I pull up the stats over here at UDisc Live, this should give you some of the information and a few of the quick things that I want to look at to bring it all home, to talk about what we saw. Paige Pierce with her 15th major victory. An incredible performance, not only by her, but by quite a few of the women out there today. But Paige Pierce, of course, locked it in and brought home the victory. So if everything is good, I want to double check that we are all good and that you can still hear everything. So here's what I want to talk about quickly. Paige and Kat, not a lot of craziness there. Paige had a 6-stroke advantage going into today, and it seemed very much like they played a pretty similar game. Of course, they matched birdies on 1. Paige goes into the hazard on hole 3. She's able to can a huge putt where Katrina's already there for the 2, but Paige does save the hazard 3. They match each other on 4, 5, 6, 7. Katrina misses the Mando and ultimately walks away with the bogey, but then they match on 8, 9, 10, 11. And then on 12 and 13, Kat made her putt, and Paige had almost an identical putt where she didn't convert, and there was a little hesitation there. They go to 13. Paige has a long putt for birdie. She doesn't convert. Kat has a tap in for the birdie, and just like that, things are tightened up considerably. On hole 14, Katrina makes a decision to just lay up, even though she was looking at a birdie putt after Paige had put underneath the basket for the 3, but Kat decides to lay it up. They get to 15, where Paige also lays things up, and Kat isn't able to capitalize. She throws a great tee shot, a less than great approach shot, and then just barely misses the putt. And so Paige kind of got away with one there. She laid up and intentionally knew she was playing for a 4 and said, all right, Kat, if you want this, you're going to have to go out and earn it. And Katrina didn't get up and down for the birdie, and so Katrina didn't pick up the stroke. They go to 16, they match, and then really everything was decided and finalized on 17. And I say that because that's where Katrina throws OB first. Paige turns around and also throws out of bounds. However, they both then proceed to the drop zone, and Kat throws out of bounds again. She kind of threw it a little bit nose up. It carried left from where she was standing. It carried to the left into the water. Paige just had to throw it on the ground. From there, she lays it up and puts it underneath the basket. She still walks away with the double bogey 5, but in doing so, she picks up a stroke on Kat, and then ultimately goes into the final hole, and she's got a little bit of a cushion. She has a 5-stroke lead going into the final hole. She plays it for the par. She doesn't need to do anything crazy, and she walks away with a 4-stroke victory, which is truly incredible, of course. The fact that Paige can then just kind of walk things in with the par on the final hole and then still have that kind of a victory is, of course, pretty incredible. Some other things I want to look at, not to diminish anything from Paige, but I want to touch on a few of the other storylines throughout the day. But before I do that, Paige, 15-time major event winner, one of the most decorated females we've ever seen in the game, just an all-around incredible player. I think right when things went sideways for me a few minutes ago, I was doing some of the statistics, and I think that we saw that Paige Pierce, and I'm going to take a quick look. I'm going to go back to the PDGA where I'm going to get the stats here from. In that, I think Paige Pierce has won roughly 47% of the tournaments that she's played in. And that includes her amateur days and her professional days. But still, 47% of the tournaments that she's played. And if I go out to pdga.com, I see that she's in her total, she's played 285 events. She has 134 wins. 134 divided by 285. That is in fact 47%. I don't know where else you get those odds. I said it earlier. I don't know if you get those in the stock market. I don't know if you get those at the betting track with the horses or when you take yourself to Vegas. I don't care where you go, but winning 47% of the time, of every time you enter something, 50% of the time almost, you end up winning is just truly incredible. So congratulations to Paige. Congratulations on your 15th major within your PDGA stats and rankings and everything that you've done. It's just mind-blowing, to go on top of the 5 world titles, to go on top of winning 7 out of 10 Disc Golf Pro Tours for the year, the double-digit victories that you took down in multiple places this year. I seriously just, I don't know what else you could really want or expect from a dominant player in any division, but congratulations to Paige Pierce. And yes, we will talk about Chris Dickerson, some of his statistics, some of the things he's done to win throughout the years, and a few of those details. We'll get to that in a minute as well. But the other thing I want to quickly look at, Sarah Holcomb fought really hard today to push herself into a tie for 3rd place. She ended up having the hot round. I click on this button and gives you a little sort feature. Sarah Holcomb had just the one blemish on her scorecard. It is I'll say it's a little bit of a righty backhand favorited hole in hole 6 because of the water on the left. But hole 6 was the one bogey she had today. Otherwise, Sarah Holcomb had 8 birdies on the day to finish at 7 under. One of the better rounds throughout the entire weekend, but it also happened to be the single best round of the final day here on Saturday, on Championship Saturday. So a 7 under for Sarah Holcomb. She moved up 2 spots into a tie for 3rd ultimately with Heather Young. Rebecca Cox, also a good day. I know she struggled a little bit throughout the week, but comes in with the 6 under again. She had an early bogey, and then from there was very clean and only improved upon her score. She opened with the bogey on 1, but then answered it with a birdie on 2. And then from there on out, she picked up 6 birdies ultimately to clear out her round. Another solid performance. Kat had the 4 under, which, like we said, wasn't quite enough to catch Paige. And then Owen Scoggins had the 3 under and Paige with the 2, who also then had tied with Macy Walker on today's round. So a 4-stroke victory for Paige Pierce. Sarah Holcomb and Heather Young finishing a tie for 3rd. We'll talk about Heather in just a moment. But then Owen Scoggins in 5th, Macy Walker in 6th as a tie with her and Kona Panis. Rounding out your top 10, I just mentioned Rebecca Cox, who moved up 6 spots today with that hot round and certainly earned a little extra cash in her pocket, along with Haley King and Missy Gannon, who round out your top 10. So congratulations to them. What I would like to quickly touch on is the fact that Heather Young proved to continue to be incredible here today. Heather Young, just 18 years old, and Heather managed to get herself, hopefully I can bring this back and everything works for us. I think what's incredible about Heather today, obviously she had a pretty solid round. She had the one mistake, I'll say the one blow up hole or the really big struggle, I think, back on hole 9. However, Heather made 28, 29, maybe 33 footer, somewhere in that neighborhood, On the final hole, she stared it down. She gave it all, I'm going to say 29 seconds of deliberation. And then she cans the putt, and just a death putt. You're looking at that elevated basket. Everything behind it is just open air that leads to water. She cans the putt to finish on the podium with Sarah Hokom. Incredible. Here's something you need to put in your back pocket as we move forward. If Heather is in a pressure-packed situation or something where you're wondering if she's going to rise to the occasion and be able to block out the noise, or any kind of the outside factors, just keep it in the back of your mind that it seems like she's going to do it. I don't know where she gets that mental toughness from, because it's not from playing disc golf competitively for a long time. She's played with her family. She's only come onto the pro scene in the last year and a half. But her mental focus when lining up a putt in a pressure-packed situation has been unwavering. So file that. You may think, oh, cool story, Terry. File that for in the future when you're watching her down the stretch at a tournament, because I think that is going to come into play more often than you maybe realize right now. She's going to work on her distance, and I think she'll get there. But right now, just know, in a pressure-packed situation, she seems to have it, and that is incredible. Kind of like what we see typically from Kyle Klein as well, the 18-year-old on the MPO USDGC side. Okay, so congratulations to anyone that finished well, first and foremost, and then of course congratulations to Paige Pierce, your 15-time PDGA major winner, your champion here at the Women's National Championships. It's incredible. Her and I we shared a little bit of a moment after the fact, and or much later, actually, I should say, in the day, not in the moment, but later in the day. I always request a selfie, and and her good friend and photographer Alyssa Van Lannen's like, you have these pictures of her with her all the time of her winning. I said, I know, but to me, it's that much more special, because then when I post that and then they come up in a memory in a year or two or three, I think about all the places where I've been while you've taken down big events. And then we kind of paused for a moment, and I said to her, I think I've been at every single major type victory that you've been to. And I don't mean literally the majors, but even though most of them, I've been there. I've either been there covering or been in some form of media since every single victory on the largest, grandest scale that Paige Pierce has had. And I feel like she's very inspiring. I feel like she's a fierce competitor. I feel like she obviously knows how to win. And it always just brings a smile to my face. I love seeing anyone succeed. She's done it more than most over these last few years. And she thought for a moment, she's like, yeah. She said, I think outside of maybe a Kat or maybe a Sarah Hokom, who she's playing against, she said, I think you've probably been there more than literally any other person. And that's pretty cool. It really is to me, because I clearly not quite as vivid, but I think of so many of her moments when she's won every one of her world championships. I was there working some form of media for them. And if I think back to every major that she's taken down, I guess I'd have to look at a list. I was probably there for at least 13, maybe even 14 of them, maybe even 15. I don't know. Anything international, not necessarily, but any major victory that she's taken down otherwise, I was there to witness. And I can't say enough about her game. She's so good week in and week out, and she's got the biggest X on her back because everyone looks to her, because if you don't beat Paige Pierce, you probably don't win the tournament. And that's all there is to it. So congratulations to her. All right. A few quick notes from the chat. I know our board got a little sideways there during the previous release here of the video. Thank you to you guys for joining me tonight. The super chat is what helped dictate the green background tonight. I love it. I appreciate it. Thank you for that. I know Cody and Emily Garner are both here tonight. They're watching the same stream, but chiming in from different devices. And I'm not going to lie, that kind of makes me giggle and makes me feel good that you guys are that invested in what's going on here tonight, that you're watching the same stream, but you want to chat on different devices. So thank you. Zachariah Nicholas says, whoop, whoop. Congrats to Paige. Is she even seem surprised? Yes. And that brings me to a great point. In our interview talking to her, she said she still gets nervous. She loves playing disc golf because every event is a new adventure. Every course, every round, every situation is a new adventure for her. And that demeanor, I don't want to say is surprising that it's a new adventure, but the fact that she still gets remotely nervous does surprise me. She's the best player in FPO with the most developed game. And then you would think that would lead to the most confidence, which has led to the most wins. So the fact that she gets nervous tells you, I'd say, how intense our game still is, and the variables and the external factors that go into our game. It kind of surprises me. You would think it would almost be like a walk in the park for her at this point. When she's playing well and performing well, you would think she's out there and she's stress-free. That's clearly not the case. And there's something to be said about that. Okay, let's double check. We're gonna see if we are. All right, we are double checking to see if things are off and running. I apologize if you guys are getting frustrated. I know I am certainly frustrated, and it looks like I may have to, in fact, restart the stream here for tonight and see if we can get things going. Okay, you guys are saying that things are back. Wow. Heyo. That's incredibly frustrating. I'm not sure exactly what's going on here tonight. The internet has been phenomenal for the last like 2 or 3 or 4 nights. So everything's been really good. So I'm frustrated that all of a sudden things aren't working. All right, maybe that's just my hint to keep this ball rolling, and I will do so. All right, so I don't know where you last heard me, but I will say, Paige, congratulations, phenomenal performance. I continue to give her a ton of accolades, and I appreciate you guys sticking with me here as I continue to push forward. I'm actually connected to my phone, which is now a really scary thought, but it looks like I'm connected to my phone, and we'll use that as the internet moving forward here for a little bit. So I hope that it continues to work out. Let's move over to the MPO side. After we've talked about Paige Pierce, her dominance, and the great final round there by Sarah Holcomb, along with Heather Young, who finished in that tie for third, and not to be overlooked by your second place competitor in Katrina Allen. Kat put up a fight. She put the pressure on Paige for a little bit. It just wasn't enough. So Katrina Allen finishes in the second place podium spot. So what I will do is I'd love to share the screen again. Let's see if we can get this to work. I'd love to share the USDGC information coming in from UDisc. And so if I click on this and then click on that, we're going to take a look at what we saw on the MPO side of things tonight. Okay. Thank you. You guys, you're saying no worries. It's well worth the money. I appreciate that. Hopefully your free 99 price point works for you guys. So clearly, congratulations. I had to hesitate. I wanted to say, what's the story of the day? Is it Kelvin Heimberg running down Chris Dickerson and catching him and passing him? Or is it Chris Dickerson winning? And so naturally, Chris Dickerson winning is what counts. At the end of the day, I think they say if you're not first, you're last. And Chris Dickerson is, in fact, in first. Now, he didn't do it in a glamorous fashion, birdieing 2 out of the first 3, and then the rain hit around hole 4 or 5, ultimately bogeying hole 6, taking a triple bogey on 10, and then hole 15 he takes a bogey. Not glamorous. I don't count 18. I don't care. He walked up to 18. He had a 2-stroke advantage over Kelvin Heimberg. He needed a bogey to win, and he took a bogey and won. So I don't care about hole number 18 score. If he was ahead by 10 strokes and he used 9 of them, I still wouldn't care. That doesn't matter to me on the final hole. So we can kind of negate that just for a moment. He just really had this big par streak, and there was a triple bogey in the middle of it. And that was hole 10. He struggled out there. What's crazy to me about hole 10 specifically, not only is it a hole that can be attacked, but he lost 5 strokes to his good friend Chris Dickerson, to Kelvin Heimberg in that one hole. Like all this other stuff, okay, you lose 2 on a 4, a birdie to a bogey, hole 13, a birdie to a bogey, no big deal. 18, a birdie to a bogey. He lost 5 strokes on a single hole. And we're not talking about an ace, which would be crazy on a par 5, but an ace to like a bogey on a par 5. We are talking about a par 4 where Heimberg eagled and Dickerson took a triple bogey. So clearly that was an intense moment. Heimberg went through there much quicker, or we'll say 15, 20, 30 minutes in front of Chris Dickerson. He was on his heater at that point. He had rattled up seven birdies in 9 holes, and then takes the eagle and then follows that up with a birdie on 11. So just incredible effort by Heimberg. And let me be very clear, that was in the midst of the downpour. Heimberg was out there. It's not like he was out there an hour earlier than Chris and was somehow, getting any real advantage. He was out there no more than 20 or 30 minutes in front of Chris. And so when that rain came, they were both on the course, and Heimberg was just simply a few holes ahead of him. And I don't know what he did. I don't know what all of his secrets are. I think a documentary could be made out of the fact of Heimberg still performing to the level that he did, because he outperformed everyone else today. It was incredible when you look at his scores during that stretch. Chris Clemens went through. When Chris Clemens had racked up the first 7 birdies, Chris was, didn't see rain until hole 6 or 7. So he was getting those in that calm, in those calm conditions. Bradley Williams racked up all those birdies in the calm conditions, so on and so forth. A lot of these other players racked up all those birdies when it was calm out. Calvin was in the thick of it. Like, it was raining hard for him when he was on hole 3 and all the way throughout. So to me, that's pretty incredible what he was able to fight through to go out there and still make that happen. Now, you're asking, I think on the chat, did you see it? Was it bad? Was the rain bad? Were the conditions bad? They were terrible. I posted a few Instagram stories. It was coming down hard on us. It wasn't like, oh, here's a little drizzle and it's kind of annoying. It started as like a light rain, turned into a legit rain, and then it turned into a heavy rain. Now, it didn't get as windy as, say, a tropical storm or a hurricane might bring, but it still was not pleasant. There was standing water everywhere. There were tee pads underwater or nearly underwater. There were streams in the middle of the holes. It got very wet very quickly, and everybody was dealing with it. In fact, there was a question, a very legitimate question for a while, as to whether or not the round should have been halted. So now there wasn't lightning, of course, but some were calling and saying, hey, let's call this. Like, let's postpone this till later and let some of this rain get past us. And that ultimately didn't happen, and everybody played through it. So it was just nasty. I mean, we had to kind of break down and move most of the media and most of the booth that we had set up for our show. And it was just really nasty out there. I don't have a better way to explain it other than very legitimate rain for an extended period of time. It wasn't 10 minutes and gone, and it wasn't a light rain. It was nasty rain for an extended period of time. So as we look at some of the scores, Calvin just destroyed it there in those first 11. He then ran into a little bit of a hiccup on 13 and 14. And if you didn't see what happened on 17, it was just nasty. Yes, he did miss the island, but then he put it on the island in his second shot, or what would have technically been his third, but his second attempt. He then hit the basket, and from there, it rolled into the water, which you could throw 100 shots, I feel like, at the basket from where he was, and 99 of them don't roll into the water, and that one did. And the rule on hole 17's green is if you go OB at any point while you're on the green, you have to rethrow from where you were. Instead of taking it from where you were last in bounds, you have to rethrow from where you were. So he had to re-putt from there. He ultimately walks away with a 7. And just like he picked up a 5 strokes on Dickerson on 10. He turned around and gave 4 strokes back to Dickerson on 17. Dickerson takes the bogey to bring it in on 18 and then walks away as your champion. I'll quickly just take a look. We mentioned before, Paul Ulibarri, solid round out there today, playing through a lot of that rain as well. He finishes with the hottest round of the day at 9 under. Heimberg ultimately had that 7 under. Thomas Earhart played much earlier. He had the 7 under. Gavin Rathbun came in with a 6 under, a really strong finish. Double G, Casey White, Trevor Harbolt got things together. I know he struggled throughout the weekend, but tonight, or today, I should say, comes in with that 5 under. Ricky Wysocki, Paul McBeth, Nico, Conrad, Kyle, Alex Klein all had 4 unders on the day. I'm not going to break down too many of the stats or the details. I don't want to say I want to throw out the stats and the information today, but there's just a heavy bias. If you played and you started your round at, I'm going to say noon, versus starting your round at 3 p.m. or 2:45 technically, you had very different conditions throughout the day. That's really the best way to put it. And so to compare everything and to put them on the exact same level, I don't feel like it's even a fair comparison. We all know it. Sometimes an early morning round has less wind or more wind compared to an afternoon. And those things you'd like to think throughout the course of a year will probably somewhat even out. But what I can say to that is just the fact that, let me bring this for you, just the fact that the afternoon round definitely had tougher, more inclement weather. Another guy who I've, of course, not so shamelessly promoted and plugged and just think he's an all-around good kid, Kyle Klein, struggled in the middle of his round. It looked like he had off to an okay start, and he held his own. I mean, he finished in 5th place. He tied Paul McBeth. This is the USDGC. Like, this isn't like 5th place at a B tier. This is the USDGC. So he should keep his head held high. Solid performance out there for the young gun, but he did struggle a little bit in the middle of the course, whether that's, the weather specifically, or whatever else, or any kind of a letting his guard down mentally. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but Kyle Klein, a solid performance, finishes in 5th place. I want to quickly give a shout out. This might be one of the fun, I'll say, highlights of the weekend. At the Disc Golf Network, we were kind of given the opportunity to present other players with their trophies. And because of the rain, because of some of the madness and confusion and everything else that took place today, players were kind of all over the place. And so with that being said, one of the trophies that wasn't necessarily picked up and commandeered, I don't know if that's the right word, but was picked up was our 3rd place finisher. This will go in my trophy case, of course, with 0 justified earning accolades on my end, but with 0 justification other than me reaching out to him and talking to my pal, Ricky Wysocki. He was okay with me grabbing All right. Now are we good? I tell you, I don't know what the deal is. At least it frozen a flattering frame. That I won't complain about if that's the case. Usually it doesn't. Oh, I'm gonna start slamming stuff around one way or another. I don't know who to blame here. If this is in fact, all right. You guys are saying I'm back. This is all really just the most polite way to say hurry the F up. So here it is. I mentioned it earlier. I'm going to put it up here again. And this is the third place trophy granted to me by none other than Ricky Y. Saki. Appreciate it, Rick. It is. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm assuming. Hello? Should I put beer in here? I'm assuming these were made, in fact, by Mace Man, who has put together some phenomenal trophies throughout the last few years, has gotten into glass blowing and done some of that stuff. I will very delicately take that back home with me tomorrow. Okay? I believe that those were done by Mace Man. I feel like a few years ago they were done by him. Somewhere I have maybe a 7th or a 9th or 10th place trophy by Steve Rico. I mean, really, if you're not there to play and do well, the least you can do is pick up someone else's trophy for them. So, solid performance out there. I just mentioned a few moments ago. I'm not sure where it cut out, but again, hot scores of the day. Ulibarri at 9, Heimberg at 7, Earhart at 7, and Gavin Rathbun at 6 under. Those were the hot scores, which is just think about what that really means in terms of the conditions today. We saw Alex Russell bust out a 15 under. We saw opening day. We saw the 13 under. We saw it a 12 under by Kyle Klein yesterday, and Johnny McRae shooting 10 or 11 or 12. We saw all of those double-digit rounds, and then today the hottest scorer, who didn't have quite as much time in the rain, was Paul Ulibarri at 9 under. So that says something. Chris Dickerson, your champion, 30 under par, besting one of his best friends in Kelvin Heimberg at 29. And then they were 3 clear of Ricky Wysocki and then Double G, who had a solid performance at the 25 under. And then right behind them, Paul Macbeth and Kyle Klein, both shooting the 24 under. So pretty incredible is what I can say to that. I mean, the conditions were just flat out terrible today. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. At one point we were talking about if the round would get potentially halted so that the players would come off the course for a little while, wait for some of the weather to pass by, and then they'd go back out. That thought was definitely talked about. It ultimately was not the way that it went. At no point were they pulled off the course, and it just was flat out miserable for quite a bit of time. And now I'm saying that, and my only role today is to look at a couple of computer screens, look into a camera, and then sit underneath a tent. In doing so, with the media within the media role, to be out there playing golf in that today, clearly, as I'm sure you could tell from quite a bit of the live coverage, was terrible, was unpleasant, and overall probably not a real good time for a lot of people. Okay. All right, guys. I would love to just take a quick look at some of the questions if you guys have them. And then if the internet is going to continue to challenge me, it might be best. That might be the internet gods telling me, hey, don't go for 3 hours. Don't ramble on and on. Don't go out and visit a bunch of other random websites and then spew about your disc golf collection. Maybe the world doesn't want all of that. Maybe they just want you to wrap things up a little bit tighter tonight and then get on your plane in a few hours, which I really hate to say I've got to start packing for, as I have to drive up to Charlotte and then head out. So if I haven't said it a dozen other times, congratulations, Paige. Oh, incredibly frustrating. All right, so we're gonna see. I think we are. I'm not sure if we are good to go. You have too many fans now. That is definitely not the case. Hopefully we are good. Good now, perhaps. We're gonna double check and see if we are good to go. All right, all right, all right, all right. Okay, I get it. I get it. Internet people, YouTube hackers and the such. I get it. You really want me to keep things tight tonight, so I will. I'm going to read a few more questions and then we're going to wrap up. And if somehow I get booted off in the meantime, then I will prematurely say good night. Thank you. I love you. And that will be the end of our USDGC nightly recaps. All right. I was just talking about Simon a few moments ago. I'm not sure. He needs to keep it together. 72 holes inside the ropes, pure focus, pure concentration, and sometimes he just doesn't have that for 72 holes. This weekend was likely part of that. I did not get a chance to talk to him at all to answer your question, Martin. I barely saw him, actually. I barely saw very many players because of being in the booth for the weekend. It really limits who you see and where you see them, and then the COVID precautions and so on and so forth. It really kind of limits a lot of things, actually, when you're looking at it. Okay. Reading through a few more things quickly here. The Rain, Rain made it the second most entertaining to watch behind the Johnny McRae year. I can understand that. Simon will be happy to rest after the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships. I think a lot of people will be, honestly. It's been, believe it or not, still a pretty grueling year. It's JVD, the IT genius. Come on now, Johnny. No, Johnny, surprisingly, has nothing to do with what I'm trying to operate here. And the only problems that we're having are 100% local internet based, which is frustrating because for the last 3 nights, they've been clear. They've been rock solid. So I'm a little frustrated myself that tonight it's giving us the trouble as I'm trying to close things out. Plug in a cord, you must be getting text. That is not the problem. What you drinking, Terry? I don't know if you're trolling me or not, but this is the final of my backwoods bastard. Put a pin in it, put a cork in it. It's done. All good. Appreciate it. Thanks to Jamie Thomas. Shout out to JP and Innova for not only the event, but the increased payout and the donation to Edge and other. Totally agree with you, David. I don't know all the details and the specifics, but I know every year this is a huge fundraiser for the Throw Pink Initiative, for the educational disc golf experience, for other local charities that I think that they work with. Huge shout out to all of them. And as crazy as this sounds, I actually don't know anything about the payouts this year. I'm quickly looking. Paige Pierce got $3,000 for her efforts this weekend. Katrina Allen, $2,000. Sarah Holcomb and Heather Young, both with $975. And they paid all the way down to 18th place. And the last to pick up some cash was Sarah Cunningham. So congratulations to her. If you finished in 18th or above, you cashed at this year's Women's National Championships. Now, I will quickly go back and take a look at, let me make a click here or there to get us to a few more details. Click, click, and what do you know? At the USDGC, $10,000. That'll buy you plenty of chicken sandwiches if you're Chris Dickerson. He loves him some chicken. A man after my heart. I'm a big chicken fan. Chris Dickerson, 10 grand for his efforts. 6,000 for Heimberg. Ricky Wysocki gave me the trophy. Let's bring this. Whoa, I almost literally dropped it. Ricky Wysocki takes the trophy, or lets me have the trophy, but still takes home, I don't know, a few $1,000s for his action there. So what was that? Let me click on. Ooh, careful. I have to try and get that on the plane tomorrow without breaking it. $4,000, $3,000 for Girthy. Macbeth and Kyle Klein both take home $2,250 for their efforts. They paid all the way down to what looks like 35th place. And so, just to put that in perspective, 8 under is what you needed to shoot over the 4 rounds. And shout out to these guys: Casey White, Stephen Miller, Ezra Robinson, and Andrew Marweed were, in fact, the last to cash. The first person, and I know we do this on Smashbox usually, to get the big hug is someone that's just out of the cash line. Well, that's one of your previous USDGC champions, Jeremy Coling. Coling, Emerson Keith, and Daniel Brooks Wells finished in a tie for 39th, otherwise known as 1 stroke out of cash. It's a tough field. It's a very, very tough field. and quite cutthroat, needless to say. Golden Pony, you are the quiet water, still water champion. I don't know what that is. Simon posted his lament on Patreon. Terry, have you been drinking? What? Don't worry about it. Did Eagle play this weekend? Yes, Eagle played. And yes, Eagle played well. Unfortunately, today he didn't play as well as he'd like to. He made a post on Facebook about it, probably Instagram as well. And Eagle dipped all the way down to an 8th place finish, taking home, $1,800 for his efforts. Interestingly enough, although these ratings won't count, that is literally another 2-hour conversation. These ratings probably won't count for these players, but Chris Dickerson on the weekend shot unofficially 1065, 1087, 1048, and 1005 is what his rounds were ultimately rated. And Ulibarri had the hot round today, which was unofficially rated 1067. That doesn't go on the ratings. That's a whole nother story. I don't want to go there. Why did LeBron not take the last shot? That's a great question. And I don't even know what NBA playoff stuff you're talking about. I'm assuming playoffs this year. I thought that Kelvin was going to take it there at the end. Courage Davis says that's a fair statement. I mean, it was very, very intense there for a little while. And the C-Dick Slayer, as I love to call him, he closed the door. He shot it down, and he took it down by 1. Why wouldn't the ratings count? Emily asks. Because of the unique rules that are at this particular event, the PDGA therefore doesn't have the ratings count toward a player's overall statistics for this specific event. It is a major, and it may or may not have like an X major next to it, as in like experimental or whatever. It's considered a major, but because they have very specific and unique rules that don't adhere to standard PDGA rules, that's why the ratings don't count. And again, I don't love that. I'll just be very blunt. I don't love that our most prestigious title of 2020 also doesn't count for our players' overall ratings. But that is a whole nother conversation for another day. Zachariah says, Macbeth, he had won it in round 3, COVID. Thanks, Trump. I don't know where you're going with that. But we could blame Bush, Obama, Hillary, maybe a Nixon. I don't know. I think we could throw out and blame a whole bunch of presidents for a lot of things. I think that's just what you're supposed to do. But yes, it's due to the rules is why, bringing this back, due to the rules that are played at the USDGC, which are very specific rules on various holes. They are granted some form of exemptions so that they can play by the specific rules that they want to use. However, that some of those in turn negate that the rounds are then applied to the players' overall PDGA ratings. Again, whole nother conversation. AJ Brown says, C-Dick Slayer sounds like a porn star name. It might. I'm not going to say it doesn't. I just know that his Instagram, which I think you should all follow, is, I think, CDick1332. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. It's kind of sad and funny at the same time that I think I know what it is. I'm going to look it up now just to make him a point. And CDick1332. Let's be careful about where I type this. Okay, so that's not it. That's not it. don't want to share my screen with you guys. Things might get a little crazy here. Let me type in Chris. It's something of that nature. Come on. CDick1322, not 1332. It's 1322. And so after seeing that, CDick1322, I've just somehow at one point just always considered and called him the CDick Slayer. That's all there is to it. If that nickname sticks, okay. Doesn't, I'm okay, but I'm gonna keep using it. You think the course is a bit too artificial? It is what it is at this point. Yeah, again, another conversation for another day. There was chatter about whether Chris had a caddy or not. Chris did not have a caddy. I do want to quickly address this. Brittany Dickerson, his wife, and I saw this comment that was made within a Facebook group. Brittany Dickerson is a hired, I don't want to say certified, it's not the right word, a hired, approved Are we here? Is this how it's going to be? Is this what you're doing to me? Is it going to continue to go down this way? This is not okay. Internet, work with me here. I'm not okay with this. Are you guys there? Are we here? Are we live? Are we ready to go? Are we ready to close this thing out? You people, meaning you at Facebook and YouTube and the internets, are getting me worked up. Okay, I'm back. Let's wrap this up for the last time, people. I think I was going on my rant. Brittany Dickerson is out there doing work. Our disc golf community is currently too small to get all bent over one person that happens to be filling multiple roles. You could argue I'm friends with a number of players. I'm also out there shooting media. If somebody's having a conversation with me, am I wearing a media hat or am I wearing a friend hat? I don't know. I'm not sure. But right now, my other example quickly was Alyssa Van Lannen is very good friends with Paige Pierce. Alyssa Van Lannen is a paid photographer to be shooting this weekend. Is it fair that Paige and Alyssa are really good friends, and if Paige takes a bogey, she says something to Alyssa? Yeah, it's fair. Sorry, it is. Become better friends with Alyssa if you somehow think that's a distinct advantage. I don't know what else to tell you there, but Alyssa's doing her job in that case. Paige is doing her job in that case. They happen to be friends. I don't know what else you can say about that. And that's all I can talk about. Will I ever stream live again after this debacle? The internet was so good for the last 3 nights in a row. Three nights in a row. Let's get rowdy. Things have been so good. I don't know what. I'm going to go downstairs to the hotel bar and I'm going to give them a long conversation, maybe. Okay? Which pixel is Terry? I'm sorry. I did answer the question, I think, about Chris and his wife. Brittany worked really hard all week. She fulfilled multiple roles and duties. She was a paid media employee. She was a volunteer staffed employee. And the fact that she was out there, I don't have a problem with that. I understand how somebody wants to get worked up about it. You could really twist that into something if you wish. I don't see it that way. And again, I use the example of Paige and Alyssa in a similar but different sense. Proton says, that's typical South Carolina internet. Should have stayed in Charlotte, gotten some of our hardy homestyle North Carolina megabits per second. I hear you. Guys, gals, men, women, females, males, everyone in between, however you identify and whatever that means to you, I'm good with. But what I want to say is thank you. Thank you for this crazy journey. I continue to see actually the number of people jumping in and joining, but I'm going to call it. We don't need the frustration of cutting in and out anymore. David, hello from Melbourne. Fun fact, folks, you don't mention the RN and E in Melbourne, Australia. It's just Melbourne. Maybe some of those are in there. David, I appreciate you reached out. You said you had a lot of statistics. Maybe I could use those in a future night when I'm not so frustrated by the internet. Gosh, what did you send me? It was really good, though. I forget what your statistic was that you sent me last night. But thank you guys for joining me these last few nights. This was really kind of random. I obviously wasn't contracted or obligated to do any kind of nightly recap. However, the fact that I got to do it, the fact that for the previous 3 nights, it worked out really well. I thank you guys. It's been a lot of fun bringing you these nightly shows. Some nights more fun than I should have been having, or not. Maybe this will be a little bit of a roadmap or a precursor to, if I have decent internet, maybe doing more of these at bigger, some of the other big events that we have taking place, because I think we proved some nights I have things to share, and sometimes some of you care about those things that I share. And if you get one little morsel, you might listen for 3 hours or 2.5 hours, and you get one tiny little nugget. Well, hopefully that is that's good for you, because That's what I can provide. Oh, I remember now. Thanks, David. He says that Simon, not to pick on him or add salt to his wound or pour salt in his wound, but Simon, I think David had said that he was, in fact, the player that was playing worse relative to his rating. And I don't think anyone wants that title, so I'm not going to beat that one to death. But David was doing, not David, yeah, David was doing some statistical analysis and reported back to me that relative to his overall rating, Simon was performing the worst. Again, I'm not sure Simon would be excited about that statistic or that that analysis, but that was the case. And I'm sure David's got a ton of other really great info. Maybe I could share it with you Tuesday night on our Smashbox podcast, or I could save it for next week when I ramble on and on during the Pro Tour Championships, perhaps. But I love you guys. Thank you for everyone that's super chatted. Thank you to my Patreon subscribers. Rock Searle, for instance, I know is normally here working. He's a golden, him and his wife are Golden Rake Award winners. That's a mouthful. And he said he wanted to contribute to the efforts. I appreciate each and every one of you that tuned in, especially tonight. If you tuned in and then you remained patient while my screen froze because of the internet, bless you so much. I do appreciate it. And if you chatted with me, maybe you asked a question, then that sparked a whole nother conversation, or maybe you gave me a little bit of insight or direction that led this conversation to the next place. I am so good with that. I truly, if I didn't have your direct interaction, I'll be the first to admit I couldn't provide you with this much insight or information for hours and hours on end. You guys are like the rolling script there in the YouTube chats. So you're like my little cheat sheet, and I appreciate that so very much. And I look at the last few points. How many gigs of storage do you go through in a typical big event day? If you're talking about usually 2 cameras, a throw and a catch, let's just say exclusively a throw and a catch, you're talking about roughly 30 gigs for the throw, a little less than that for the catch. 60 gigs, maybe you have a reaction camera that, I'm just going to guess you add another 30 gigs to that. Maybe 100 gigs in a day for a 3-camera setup. And as you guys can imagine, that fills up terabytes. And then you want to back it up so you don't just have those 100 gigs per day on one hard drive at $100. You have that on a second hard drive for another $100. And you always want to make sure you have at least 2 copies of all of your footage. So if that helps you, again, that's standard throw and catch for 1 round for 1 card is what I could say to you. That's shooting in 1080, by the way. Blue Boy says 38 OB, 38 OBs. Oh my God, did Simon have 38 OBs? I don't have all the time for that. AJ says, love you, Terry. Thanks for sharing your weekend with us. Simon needs a head and body. How many gigs? We got all that. Last time, love you. Appreciate all of you. Patreon. So my Patreon supporters. You guys really keep things going. YouTube chats. Likes, subscribers, if you all of that. I really genuinely thank and appreciate all of you. So I'm going to quit gushing over how great you guys are. I'm going to close things out. I'm going to give you a nice cheesy exit like I've done the last few nights. I don't know why I get so amused by that. And I'm going to get packed up. I literally have to leave my hotel in a few hours to go into up to Charlotte from Rock Hill area, up to Charlotte to get on a very early plane. And if you haven't guessed already, I'm not a morning guy. Appreciate it. This is the USDGC and the WNC, the Women's National Championships, are only majors of 2020. They were incredible. Congratulations to Paige Pierce. Congratulations to Chris Dickerson. I'm going to see both of you guys as competitors at the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships in just a few days right here at Hornets Nest in Charlotte, North Carolina. and everyone can expect a good show from you guys. All of you guys out there on the chat have been incredible. Let's close it out. Peace, love. Third place trophy that I didn't earn. That's still gorgeous. It's going on the mantle. I mean, what more could you ask for? Disc Golf Guy signing out. Oh, hey, let me click on this. And now, closing out our 2020 WNC and USDGC Saturday recap. Love you. Be safe. Be kind to one another. We look forward to seeing you in the next few days. Of course, Tuesday night, Smashbox TV, weekly podcast, and we'll see you for the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships taking place at Hornets Nest in Charlotte, North Carolina in just a few days. This is the Disc Golf Guy signing out. We'll see you soon.